The Sword of Convallaria recently launched their collaboration event with The Witcher 3, which brings character from this award-winning RPG into the fantasy tactical setting. And as someone who loves experiencing games through the lens of its various characters, I was very excited to pick up Geralt and the rest of the Witcher crew just to see how well they do. But the best part is that I got sponsored to do so by the Sword of Convallaria, so I got to play through the entire event story early and share my experience in this video. But first, let's give a little context in case you don't know about the Sword of Convallaria. It is a fantasy tactical RPG made with enhanced 3D-like pixel art and centers around turn-based combat with dynamic 3D terrain strategy. The game offers a completely free single-player experience featuring multiple splitting paths and endings which depend on the choices you make, just like in The Witcher, and comes with a large cast of playable characters that can be obtained through gacha. You don't really need to pull any of them to enjoy the story or game itself, but a lot of them add interesting and unique playstyles. I personally love how there's skill trees that let you choose and customize a character's kit, so you could either run the most meta build or make something that suits your style and handles specific challenges. Puts the RP and RPG kind of thing, and I'm all for it. This is one of those hidden gem games that I've been playing since release, because it has everything I need and want from a tactical RPG. There's power triangles, challenging battles, an interesting story, and some amazing fantasy music, composed by Hitoshi Sakimoto. So if you like tactical RPGs in general, you'll absolutely love this game. And if you've never played a tactical RPG before, this is an excellent introduction to the genre, plus it's free to play, so it literally costs you nothing. If it sounds like something up your alley, or you just want to support the channel, you can download and try the Sword of Convallaria for yourself, using the link in the description down below. Big thanks for sponsoring this video. Okay, now that I've given you the quick rundown, let's take a look at the Witcher 3 collaboration event, which comes with a nice little timeline of everything that's going on. First up, the game gives you a free Ciri?
Greetings, stranger from another world.
Wait, she sounds kind of familiar. Did they get the English voice actors for the original cast? Joe Wyatt? Yep, that's her. Zero corners cut on this one. Anyways, where was I? Oh, right. There's a login event. There's a paid character skin for Geralt, Yennefer, and Triss, but they'll only be available during each character's actual banner, so for now it's just Geralt's. You can also get an exclusive set with a specific title, decor for your profile picture, and a furniture of Geralt taking a bath so he can forever hang out at your home in Elysium. We've also got a summon incentive program that gives you some extra pulls, materials to power up your character, and that last one lets you refine the collab weapons. Speaking of which, all of these weapons will be available from the get-go, and you can pick which one you'd like for sure if you happen to reach Heart Pity, which is 50 pulls in this game. And if you happen to pull a legendary weapon that's not the one you selected, it will be one of the other Witcher collab weapons, so even if you lose, you kinda win here. But the main draw of this collaboration event is the story quest, titled Hunt the Lord of the Forest, which begins with this beautifully animated cutscene to introduce both Geralt and Yennefer. We see a silver pendant that warns Geralt when there's trouble, plus a little bit of their combat abilities. Seems like they know what they're doing. Then they go to investigate a portal which leads them into the pixel art world of the Sword of Convallaria. And it looks like their powers still work here, as does their banter. Although they quickly get interrupted by the sounds of monsters nearby, so of course they're gonna go check it out. The scene changes over to a nearby field where we see several villagers trapped by large thorny plants and the Sword of Convallaria mercenary group helping to take on the incoming horde of wolves. First we have the Voyager, who's typically just giving tactical direction from the sidelines but is now part of the combat. Then there's the cheery Maita, capable of taking and giving a very strong punch, and last but not least there's Feiko, the somewhat serious archer of the group. He can take aim and interrupt movements, or just fire off a volley of arrows which do a lot of damage. And just when we were getting close to clearing out the wolves, even more showed up to refill their ranks. But it looks like we're also getting some backup from the Witcher himself, and the Yennefer, who seems to be just as strong. They quickly cut down the incoming pack of wolves, so now we just have to deal with the 3 blocking our exit. Something even the village guards can handle, with a little support from Feiko. Immediately after the battle, we see Geralt inspecting the environment and mentioning that it might be a sign of a Leshen. But first, we're due for a quick introduction, although we should go somewhere safer, just in case, so we reconvene back at our camp. There we learn that the Leshen is a monster from the Witcher's world, and it can control beasts, including all of the wolves we saw earlier. But the scariest part is that this monster puts a curse on a person with its mark, and as long as that marked person is nearby, the Leshen cannot be killed. And the Voyager is totally right here, we're definitely in over our heads, so of course we're gonna ask Geralt for some help. Then he instantly looks towards Yennefer, so we know who the real boss is in this situation. The only catch is that the two of them are only here for 12 more hours before their portal opens up, so have to hunt this thing down quickly. Our first order of business is to see if we can find which villager has been marked, and we can speed up the search by looking for crows which should be hanging out near the marked person. Once we find them, we just need to bring them beyond the Leshen's reach, and we can finally hunt this thing without it reviving. So we make our way to the village where we hear people gossip about us, but it sounds like Geralt's already used to it by now. Anyways, it's time to get investigating. First we talk to this old man who thinks the Witcher hunts sorceresses for some reason, and apparently they're monsters in his book. It's alright, Yennefer, I don't think you're a monster. Although it does look like this guy has seen a lot of crows circle the village lately, so the mark must be here. Then there's this pair of girls who are getting quite anxious by all the eerie happenings, although they blame it on the witches and their Luxite, which is a rare ore found in this game that's been used for magic. Then again, we've seen some witches like Flavia do lots of good with Luxite, so we know that not all the witches in this world are bad. But it's not like we're here to talk about witches, I need to find the mark. So we go talk to this herbalist who freaks out the moment they see Geralt and then run off. Don't worry bud, there's nothing wrong with your face. Unfortunately, our search gets interrupted by the news of more monsters attacking the village, so back to the field we go. Except it seems like we were a little late, and the wolves already got someone. And it seems like the village elder is quite crushed by this fact. Lucky for him, there's 5 strong helpers ready to take on the threat. If only they would wait for us to get to the front lines first. Great, and now the elder is surrounded by wolves. Even Geralt couldn't quite reach them yet, so he drank up some potions to give him Maribor Forest, which boosts his critical rate by 30%, and Tawny Owl, which helps us recover energy. Then Geralt went for the Igni rotation to heat things up, and finally used his cool Whirl attack to take down one of the wolves. Feiko could reach the red wolf, but the moment he hit it, the enemy went to hide behind one of the other wolves, which got me curious about its stats, and I can see those for any character since this is a tactical RPG. Looks like it can only do the runaway reaction once per round. Yennefer was also close enough to do some damage now, but I thought I'd test out her moves a bit. She seems to have a portal that can warp enemies and deal damage, plus access to 3 types of elemental skills. Up next was Maita, who had an advantage against the Seeker Wolves, so she could easily finish off another. And with the last lesser out of the way, more monsters spawn near the entrance. I guess Geralt's close enough so he can reach them with his finisher Whirl, and Feiko can help out by tipping over this brazier and dealing massive damage to the little crab-like monster. Then the Voyager did some chip damage to the red wolf, and Yennefer finished it off with a hail attack.
Come on, come closer.
They did, Geralt, but their position doesn't really allow for any good use of his energy, so I guess it's time for another finisher Whirl. Feiko tried to help out here, but even his Gale Billow Volley couldn't quite crack through the hard physical shell of this crustacean. But what if we teleported one shielded monster next to the other? Okay, well, maybe we try to hit it with a ball lightning. Anywho, now that there's only one enemy left, Geralt can go for the finisher Rend, which smashes through the shield and clears the field of all monsters. But instead of celebrating, the village elder seems to be taking the blame for some reason. Even the Voyager thinks the elder doth apologize too much. But while he tends to his village elder duties, we set out deeper into the forest to look for this Leshen because it keeps attacking us for some reason. It seems like there's several totems set up, which might make it even stronger, so we'll just have to... What is he doing here? I like how Geralt's being very realistic here about how it takes a lot of skill rather than will to take on a strong monster like this. So hopefully this old guy won't get in the way. Anyways, our first order of business is to take down the totems, so we push this Rattan Ball to distract the wolves. Then we slowly approach the pack and start picking them off, although we might have to hurry because at the end of every round, even more wolves spawn. That's also when I actually stopped to read what Yennefer's portal does and realized it works on allies too, so I teleported Maita next to a totem and she instantly broke it. Then she could run over to the next one and smash it too, meaning there's just one totem to go, and a lot of wolves ready in queue. Except Maita's in a pickle now, so we'll have the Witcher go safer with a whirl of his sword. And now that she's safe, Maita can use her Come On Everybody skill for a little bit of healing. On the other side, I had Feiko get closer to the last totem, but he's taken too long and the other wolves are starting to close in on us. Bad news for them is that Geralt can easily slash them away, especially when they're clustered so nicely. Then it was Feiko's turn to shine, shooting off his Billow Volley to break the last totem and one wolf standing near it. And with the totems gone, the Leshen finally shows its face. But it instantly surrounds us with thorny tendrils, which would be a problem if Yennefer wasn't there to just burn them away. Okay, now it's time to slay the Leshen. I had Yennefer instantly approach it and use her Magic Surge, which powers up her other moves, allowing her to create an instant portal and throw Maita in the middle of that wolf pack. Then she used Hail to take down some of the bad puppies. This might feel like a mean move towards little Maita, but she's strong enough to take them down, and even has a counterattack to quickly shred their numbers. But I thought it was a good time to see what the Leshen can actually do. It looks like it takes extra damage from fire moves, and when it reaches a health breakpoint, it will lock onto the furthest enemy, so one of my guys, and surround them with thorns. Also, if you're curious about the health breakpoints, basically in this game, the amount of damage you do and receive will decrease depending on how much health you have. At full health, all is well, but once you fall down to 70%, your unit is considered injured and they do 20% less damage but take 20% more. And if they fall below 30% health, they're considered dying, and those multipliers now change to 30%. It's a good incentive to run healers and shielders, and it's a fun way to implement boss mechanics, letting them do interesting moves whenever you reach a certain breakpoint. And it looks like there's an additional reaction that the Leshen has, where they deal physical damage too. I'm sure Faco will be fine. See? Also, since it's now considered injured, its attacks won't hit as hard, and it'll be easier for us to deal more damage. So a pyrokinesis attack from Yennefer will be enough to put it in the dying state, and make it poof all the way back to Geralt. Things were getting pretty thorny, but this monster had a bad call of teleporting itself right next to the Witcher of all people, who can use an Igni rotation to burn away all of the briars and finish it off in style. I love this move. However, it's too soon to celebrate, since the mark is still nearby and this Leshen quickly regenerates. Unfortunately, we don't have those kind of healing powers, so I guess it's time for us to book it, and the village elder too. Back at the village, we head to the old man talking about the crows and sorceresses again, but a doubtful villager does mention that he saw a bunch of them dancing around the herbalist. And since everyone else in the village is too busy panicking, I guess we'll go investigate the only lead we have. The elder leads us to the herbalist's home, and Geralt uses his Witcher senses to help us look for clues. There's village records of everyone who's come for healing, a still warm stove, and shelves full of herbs in her yard. But oddly enough, we also find a Luxite crystal among those herbs, meaning that that one old guy was actually right. This herbalist is in fact a sorceress, or I guess a witch in our world. Although she was clearly using her Luxite powers to boost the healing effects of herbs, and not for something evil. The last clue we found was on her bookshelf, where we found some notes about a Luxite catalyzed herb that she was growing in secret in a garden out back. So our next steps is to go investigate that garden. Once again, we're relying on Geralt's Witcher senses so we can track down more clues, with the Voyager doing most of the investigation this time around. It was one of those after you moments. There were a bunch of small Luxites and drag marks, and a second set of footprints. And if we follow the trail, well, we find some even worse news. Looks like the herbalist is dead. And we've got company courtesy of the Leshen. Geralt has no trouble taking care of the two wolves, but the Voyager was struggling a bit against the boars. So, can I get a Witcher over here, please? Thanks, Geralt. Now we can finally examine the body, which gives us clues like the fact that she was caught off guard or was with someone she knew. The herbalist has also been dead for a couple of days, which doesn't add up because we just saw her a few hours ago. We meet up with Yennefer to discuss our findings, and while we cross out silly theories like a long-lost twin, Geralt's Witcher senses catch on to something and he runs off. So we follow him and find none other than the mysterious living herbalist lurking in the middle of the night. She tries to distract the crew, then transforms into the Voyager while everyone's looking away. But that tells Geralt all he needs to know. We're dealing with a Doppler. So when this thing took the form of the herbalist, it also ended up taking on the Leshen's mark. Unfortunately, the Doppel does book it the moment we start to connect the dots, which is kind of what we want, isn't it? But we end up chasing it in the heat of the moment. It runs past where Faco and Maita are training, so they join us for the chase, but it wouldn't be easy since the Leshen calls in more monsters to block our way. The bad news for those beasts is that now I know Yennefer's portal works on allies, so I can just send the Witcher friend into the middle of the fray, and then have him potion up and use the whirl attack to cut down their numbers. After that, Maita can run up and use her attack to push one of the hermit crabs into the water, and the next round Geralt can do some more damage with his 6 sword moves, and Faco can let loose his billow volley to finish off the last monsters. Now we just need to catch the Doppler, which has transformed into Maita. Apparently they look identical and end up sharing some memories, so our only way to find the real one is to ask questions that only they would know. But the Maitas decide to just start spitting out embarrassing secrets about Faco, who's just sitting there catching strays. Although I like how Yennefer ends up having a little thought bubble right after that. Makes me wonder what she's thinking about. Our next question is what her dreams are after the war. One Maita says that she wants to start an orphanage, while the other just wants to go on a spa trip. And as Faco says, they just ended up being friendly and chatting with each other. Then Yennefer finally chimes in with a real question. Who makes your heart stir? And since the Doppler shares Maita's memories and personality, it just decides to out itself instead of reveal her secret. I guess it's not that bad of a creature. Now we can finally get some answers, like the fact that it got here a few weeks ago through a portal, so either Yennefer at the start of the story was wrong, or there's more portals leading here. It also only took the form of the herbalist after she was dead, but it's pretty clear that the Doppler is trying to cover for someone. That someone has taken it in and seems like a good guy who just wants to protect the village. But Yennefer is right, you can't just go off a person because you saw a few birds around him. Which begs the question, what will this nice man do if he finds out that the mark is now on the Doppler? He wouldn't, she says. Famous last words. She even shares the truth that the marked person just needs to leave, but the village elder clearly thinks otherwise. Anyways, he tries to kill her again, but not this time, because the Witcher's here. We weren't gonna just let her leave by herself and expose her to danger, that's not what we do. The elder goes on about how he had to do it because 20 years ago there was a plague in this village and it went away only after the local witch was dead. So by that logic, he had to take care of the new local witch to get rid of this calamity. Thankfully, Yennefer is here to give him a quick lesson on how everything's an illusion when you insist on closing your eyes to the truth. Which, dang, that is a good quote. Then we let him know that Kiki was in fact a good person and even trusted him until the very end, leaving the elder to reflect on his actions while we go take care of the Leshen for good. Looks like it's got some totems built again, so we'll have to go knock them down by splitting into two teams. Yennefer sends Geralt to the front lines while the Sword of Convallaria takes on the swamp monsters on the left. The Puru shoot out some toxic gases, and the frogs can use their powerful tongues to pull around the Voyager, but that actually works in our favor, since we can now approach the first totem and smash it with our basic attack. Geralt also has to use his finisher whirl to sweep away the second totem and all the beasts around it, leaving just one totem to take care of. Unfortunately, the Sword of Convallaria crew have their hands tied with all of the poisonous Puru, and Feiko's the only one who can sort of help by pushing one of the hermit crabs into the water with a rattan ball. Meanwhile, Yennefer can approach the last totem, power up with a magic surge, and use her elemental storm to strike with 3 types of magic, and this time the Leshen doesn't show up right away, so I guess we have a little bit of extra time to clear out these beasts. Which is not a problem for Geralt and his whirling sword attack, but Maita and the Voyager are kinda struggling here, so Feiko will have to come back and help them out with his volley. Thankfully, both of those characters are actually really good at healing, so we'll just need to take a turn to recover a bit while Geralt finishes off the wolves and Yennefer zaps away the last hermit crab. And since we're still struggling to stay alive thanks to all the poison from the Puru, Yennefer decides to send the Witcher our way to finish off the final monster. Man, this guy is so useful. And now that the coast is clear, we can take on the Leshen, which still has some backup it seems. So we'll take care of all of the wolves while the Witcher takes care of the monster. With the help of Yennefer, of course. And once its health falls below 70, the monster falls into its own patterns. It'll try to get the jump on Maita and surrounding Yennefer with briars. And since the Leshen is kinda far away, Yennefer uses her portal to bring Geralt a bit closer. Then he uses his Igni rotation to set everything on fire and deals massive damage with his finisher Rend. Meanwhile, those wolves are really starting to eat us alive, so Feiko has to use his volley to clear some of them out. But when the damage from the fire pushes the Leshen into its dying state, it goes after our favorite archer, and Yennefer retreats to open up a portal to shoo away the Doppel. That's nice and all, but she's literally left Feiko to the wolves. And since one of the conditions for this battle is that we cannot lose a single unit, I'll have to trace my steps back and reposition Feiko. Instead of thoughtlessly helping Yennefer with her wolf problem, this time he runs as close as possible to the rest of the gang before using his volley attack. Then when the Leshen goes after him, it ends up being close enough to the Witcher, and Geralt can reach it with its Igni Firestorm and finish off the Lord of the Forest for good. With the hunt finally done and the sun rising, it was time for the Witcher friends to head back to their own world. But not before dropping some more banger quotes, like "not all bonds are measured in time," and a bit of a more encouraging conversation than overall good messaging. Then the two head back home and we get the credits to roll. Nicely done. And the best part is that there's even more to this event than just this main story. There's the collection filled with various Witcher 3 memorabilia, like this Gwent trophy, can't have Witcher without Gwent. And these collections also serve as buffs to your characters during any of the battles for this event. You'll be able to collect more of them from various sources, and you can also toggle them if you want some extra difficulty. But I don't see any reason to turn them off, considering this tactical RPG always has some challenge during this event. During this Witcher collab, we have the Witcher's Trial interval levels, where you end up taking on even more monsters from the Witcher games. I tried out this battle against the Wraiths, thinking it won't be so hard, only to watch them summon more Wraiths and then quickly plow through my whole team, so it looks like I'll have to build up my collection a bit more and restructure some of my characters before I try it again. But I'll worry about that on my main account. For now, I just wanted to check out what else there is in this event, so I tried out another interval battle which had these Rot Fiends, very weak to fire, and as well as a Griffin for me to fight. Then again, these are just the interval stages, because most of these sort of Convallaria's events also come with a ranked challenge for those who really wish to put their tactical brains to the limit. And while it wasn't available to try out during this early access, I cannot wait to see what kind of wild battles we'll have to face. They get very creative with these. Again, if you love tactical RPGs, this is like amazing. Really makes you think and find a way to solve this kind of challenge. That being said, there's also 2 more playable characters arriving in the sort of Convallaria during this collab event that weren't part of the main story. First we have Ciri, who I mentioned earlier since we'll be getting her for free. She's got some really good movement and a lot of her attacks seem to play around the bound status effects just like the rest of the Witcher crew. But I'm personally more interested in the second character, Triss. She's another sorceress, just like Yennefer, although Triss specializes in fire magic, at least based on her splash art. Because if you look at her kit, you also see that she can use ice attacks. Also, her trait enables a whole new reaction that does some extra damage when you merge fire and ice during battle. Oh, and she also has a portal, but it only works for her. Now, if you were to make me choose between Triss and Yennefer, well, I definitely liked Yennefer's portal and personality in the story, but ladies who can cast fire spells are also pretty useful in this game, so maybe Triss will make my Luvata team even stronger. Then again, Yennefer also has a fire spell, so how about both? Can I pick both? That won't backfire, right? Overall, I had a wonderful time playing through the main story of this collab event, and I'm looking forward to trying out the intervals and ranked modes on my main account once the collab is available in the actual game, which should be right now. The video's out when the collab's out. So if you enjoyed this video and found elements of the game interesting, go download the Sword of Convallaria using the link in the description and try it out for yourself. Or if you already played the game, let me know which character is your favorite and which collab unit you're looking forward to the most. Again, big thanks to the Sword of Convallaria for sponsoring this entire video, and a great job on this collaboration event. I cannot wait to go play it on my main account as well. Either way, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.